Firstly, the devotion to the Sacred Heart and the promise of Margaret Mary Alacoque. Secondly, the Gospel of today speaks about St. John the Baptist. And thirdly, the devotion of the Sacred Heart in our families. First of all, I'm very happy, as I said in the beginning, to see that this church not only dedicated to the Sacred Heart, but people have a great devotion for the Sacred Heart. Archbishop Emeritus told me that he came for Mass at 6 o'clock, but even then the church was full, which means the whole day the people from all over Bangalore come here in order to pay homage to Sacred Heart. Every Friday is the day of the Sacred Heart, though we perhaps celebrate it with little more celebrations on the first Friday of the month. But why Friday? Because Friday is the day when Jesus died for us. And the only reason Jesus had to die for us was because of his love. Because of his love. The Gospel of John chapter 3 verse 16 says, God so loved the world that he sent his only Son for our sake. For our sake. So therefore, that is the love of God. And the heart of Jesus, which was poked by that spear as it were, and the last drop of water and blood comes out. That's the last thing, to say that his last drop of blood that he shed for us out of love for us. This is the love of the Sacred Heart for each one of us. And that is why Margaret Mary Alacoque says, spread this devotion, the 11th promise that Jesus makes to her in her vision is that those who shall promote this devotion shall have their names written in my heart. And their heart, the devotion of the heart is only this much, to say that God loves you. God loves you. Perhaps your own people at home may not love you. Your friends may love you as long as you have money and something else to give them. Perhaps people will love you and praise you and you can be this one. But God will love you when you are empty. God will love you when you are a sinner. God will love you even when you have done a crime. That is the love of God. Secondly, I said St. John the Baptist is today's gospel. It's a beautiful gospel wherein John was one of the greatest or perhaps the closest person to Jesus. Besides his mother and father, John was closest, Jesus was closest to John the Baptist. Not only his parents were related to him, Elizabeth was the cousin sister of Mary. Zachariah was known to perhaps Mary's family, and John the Baptist and Jesus met each other even before they were born, when they were in the wombs of their mothers. And therefore John the Baptist has this love for Jesus, and Jesus has this love for John. You see so many sayings of Jesus about John. When he was murdered, Jesus goes to visit and sees that he is buried people. And he tells the people, what did you go to see? A reed that is shaking here and there? No. John the Baptist is a prophet, a voice that speaks in the wilderness. And that was the love of Jesus for John. And that was love of John for Jesus, as it were. Perhaps we can say that they opened their hearts to each other. Jesus opened his Sacred Heart to John the Baptist, and John the Baptist was so intimate that they know each other very well. And we see in this gospel, John could have easily said that, who knows, nobody knows Jesus. I am the senior one, I am 6 months older than him, I have come here, and there is a queue of people who want to be baptized in front of me. And Jesus is nobody. And that time Jesus was nobody. But then John says, there is one who comes after me, and of whose sandals I am not worthy even to untie. He is great. This is the real love of the people. What do we mean by love of the Sacred Heart? What do we mean the love of each other? The love of each other is to say that give me something, give me more and more, more and more, more and more, I love you. Jesus says the other way about. Love means sacrifice. How much are you ready to sacrifice for your family? How much are you ready to sacrifice for your friend? How much perhaps a husband is ready to sacrifice for his wife, or the wife for the husband, and both of them for the children. That is the love which St. John the Baptist exhibits in his life. And thirdly, I said, the devotion of the Sacred Heart in the family. In the family, I say in the family, because love cannot be in the laboratory. Love cannot be in the library. Love has to be in the family. The family is the laboratory where perhaps the husband, wife, and the children share with each other. Perhaps even the grandparents and the others are also there. So the best sort of crucible of love is the family. This year we have taken up the theme that 2023 will be the year of the family in the Archdiocese of Bangalore. We have so many families. Perhaps some of them are very good. We are proud of our families. We may not have many things. Our house may not be a big bungalow. We may not have 2-3 cars. We may not have the fans and fridges. But we have people who will sacrifice each other. So therefore the Sacred Heart combines itself very much in the family. We have something called the enthronement of the Holy Bible, the enthronement of the Sacred Heart in the family. In the family, because the Sacred Heart becomes the center and example for each other. Last year, Christmas time, there were some sisters who came to wish me, 6 or 7 sisters, and of course they wished me and they went back. And afterwards I noticed there was on my table one small prayer book. I understood one of the sisters had forgotten a prayer book on my table as they talked and as they wished me. Perhaps they have gone. So I rang up to that convent and said, "Sister, there is one sister who has left her prayer book here." The sister came afterwards, one of the sisters came afterwards. And then I took the prayer book and I said, "Nice prayer book." And on the back page, there was the picture of the Sacred Heart. The picture of the Sacred Heart. And he looked at me and smiled and said, "Yes, Father, I am a devotee of Sacred Heart. This picture that you see here, this is my mother used to carry in her prayer book. My mother is no more. My mother is no more. But when I went to the convent, when I was going to the convent, she gave me this picture. Child, keep this picture with you. Pray to the Sacred Heart every day. Anyone will abandon you, but not the Sacred Heart. And therefore keep this picture with you." And I could understand what it means to have the devotion of the Sacred Heart in the family, passed on from the husband, wife to the children, because the children also need love, need to experience this love of God in them, or love of the Sacred Heart in their families. And this year, Father Susainathan told me that on the 15th of this month, the parish will inaugurate in this parish the year of the family. And perhaps we'll have many, many things to say about the families, the problems of our families, the crises of our families, the temptations that our families are facing today, the youth, the children. There are so many things that we can speak of the families. And the Sacred Heart is the best expression of love in our families. So my dear brothers and sisters, I wish you well, and surely this 11th promise of Saint Maria, Sister Margaret Alacoque, we keep before us to promote this devotion of the Sacred Heart also to the others.